The coronavirus pandemic has disrupted lives and businesses all across the globe. Economies have been hit badly, but things are starting to look up and the vaccines are providing a literal booster shot. But it's safe to say that the way we do business now will be very different from the way it was done earlier. The Economic Times and IBM have come together to present Reshape Tomorrow, a series of power-packed roundtable discussions where we bring the top leaders from different industry sectors together to share their vision for the future and how they have pivoted their companies to reshape tomorrow. First up, we meet top CEOs from the manufacturing sector, a sector that contributes approximately 18% to the country's GDP, but is one of the most important sectors that needs to fire to get the Indian economy back on track.
Rajiv, MG Motor, of course, like we were discussing just before we went live, MG Motor has done exceptionally well, some really good products, very good marketing and advertising strategy, could connect with the consumer. What next? What is it? I know that you are coming up with an electric vehicle, but in terms of, product strategy, in terms of brand strategy, what are the new opportunities that you spotted for future growth?
To put this question in perspective, I would say, when we decided to be in India 4 years back or so, the thing was very clear that when you have to beat giants like Maruti and Hyundai and you want to be in the consideration set of consumers, you need to do something different and innovative, and it has to be a little bit disruptive. So, our first car was the connected car, Hector. The second product was EV, and third product, Gloster, is autonomous level 1. So, when you talk about automotive, they say the future you can describe as CASE, C-A-S-E. C is connected, A is autonomous, S is shared mobility, and E is electric. So I think we have covered 3 parts of it already, and we are trying to provide, at an affordable price. Now, again, we can argue about affordability here because these are costly cars. These are not easy cars. But they're sub 40 lakhs cars, right? So it's still within the reasonable definition of affordability. At least it's coming more and more mainstream. But the important point is we are bringing technology in the country, and we are working with institutes like ITIs to IITs to diploma institutes to how do we localize this technology, impart the skills to the local guys, how do we get more localization out of these things, phase-wise manufacturing, we can do it. I think that's what is value addition within the country, in my opinion.
The point which we have, seen in the COVID, that the world is going to be more and more electric. Now, if we sit back and look at that, when the whole world was in lockdown, there were 2 very important things which were making the world also still remaining active and connected. One was energy and the other was digital. And any country, any society which was probably a little bit advanced on this, they could, overall manage that whole situation in a much better comparatively compared to other parts of the world or other countries. I think this is where there's an opportunity, because as we have seen that whenever we talk about, India, I think one of the challenge has been our quality of the power, quality of the energy, and the way we have been probably using energy responsibly in terms of what form of energy we have to use and all. I think there is a huge opportunity now for that world or our country has to be more and more electric to be sustainable, to remain connected, and to take care of any of those kind of situation like the one which we faced in from middle of March till whole of April and all, when something lockdown happens, because to make the things go around, you will need those things.
How has, COVID redefined, the strategic reallocations that allocations you give for future of living and driving the fact that so much of electric is going to come in, like Rajiv is predicting, like Anil is saying? How does that impact your business? What are the opportunities that you have spotted in the commercial vehicles, segment? Tell us about it.
I think if you look at the fundamentals first, of course, the electric and all these new technologies are going to come. That will take some time. But I think the basic fundamental thing is that in India, the logistics costs are still very high. They are almost 12 to 13% of the GDP, as compared to 6 to 7% in the developed countries. So now these trucks are very, very important part of the logistics cost. Now this logistics, if you have to improve this logistics cost, it means a lot of things have to happen. I think if you start with the modernizing the trucks. I think that is one most important. Even if you look at the trucks today plying on the roads, some of the trucks, majority of the trucks, they are with the roadside built cabins. They are not safe cabins.
Yeah.
So the safety standards have to improve. Then of course with the infrastructure improving, the speeds will go up. It means the trucks have to be even much more safer. Technologies will keep on changing. BS6 has come in now. So it means a lot more opportunities to improve in technology. You will be glad to know that we are now giving 100% connected trucks. 100% of the trucks or buses that we sell today, they are all connected. They are all connected right from the factory. Like we have given ourselves to supply trucks with the live connections. So it remains always connected.
While we are talking about manufacturing being taken to 25% of GDP, so it works both ways. We have to scale up domestic production. We also have to export a large quantity of what we manufacture.
I'll give you one example, Sujita ji. In dairy also till mid-70s, same situation was there. That time the farmers, in this case the manufacturer, the policy maker and the political leadership decided that we have to become Atmanirbhar. And that time they make 25 years plan. So if you want to become Make in India, it's not 2 years, 3 years, 5 years plan. You have to make 25, 30, 35 years plan how to become Atmanirbhar, how to become Make in India. And I agree, Make in India, local for the local is not because we are made in India. You have to first match the quality, you have to get that latest technology. And in India, affordability. And affordability will come from the scale. So like other panelists said, you have to get, we are importing more than, 3 million ACs, why we are importing? So that one is to see. It is not because the technology, it is affordability is also a better thing.
We all feel that we are making quality product, okay? Frankly, I'm saying no, because India has got two quality. One quality we make for India, one quality we make for abroad. Let's change that concept. Let's have only one quality. Let's take US. US makes a medicine in US. When they want to make medicine outside and bring it to US, they have US FDA. Why do they have US FDA? Because they want all the citizens of the US want to have the same quality medicine. Even though the medicine they're importing is cheaper than what they make there, they say the quality I will not compromise. Now, what I'm trying to say is, in India, we end up setting up a special plants for exports, special for domestic, because we want to manage on the cost structure. I'm saying, no, let's make one plant at scale. Let's try and bring in differential pricing in the country. Let's tell our Indian consumers, it's a time we offer you high quality product, value of the product.
India, being a rural country with, as we all know, most of our population is there. What are your thoughts on the perspective of the rural economy, and how can Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, while we talk about that, how can they benefit the rural people?
I was listening carefully all the other panelists, and in fact, when we talk about the 25% share of manufacturing in the GDP, I would say that from almost close to 15 years we have been talking. When the Honorable Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, he was the Prime Minister at that time, our share of manufacturing was close to 16%. And that time, a thought paper was that how do we go to 25%? And for so many years, we are still talking. And from 16%, it has come down to 14% or 15%. We need to do the true introspection that why the hell, even after 10 years of our talking, we have not inched up even 1 or 2%. So that's one. In fact, the intent is very good. We need to find the enablers to some extent. I would say, Raj Satta ke bina kabhi business nahi hua hai. And what we have thought is that there are policies intervention, but these policies intervention are not truly the enablers today. Because either these policies are on a piece of paper, or those policies are not truly becoming the enabler for creating those kind of manufacturing sectors in the country. So we need to understand, and as rightly said by the panelists, we need to understand the competitiveness of the products. We can't have all the products competitive in the country. So we need to understand.
I'll go to Mr. Patel. You have been very silently listening to everybody as we talk about India, whether it has the right mix of policy, regulation, skill, and quality to transition to a higher percentage of manufacturing of the GDP. But sir, as we transition, a higher percentage of the jobs in manufacturing will give importance to cognitive abilities and system skills over physical abilities. So how can we prepare the industry workforce to succeed in an increasingly automated world?
If we think about the last several months that we've been working through, I think technology, whether we like it or not, has become the unifying force. I keep calling it the Sutradhar that is actually helping us navigate through these paradigms that we are seeing, both within COVID and then what we will see as a new normal. So in an all-pervasive digital world, right, this will lead to a major shift in the talent requirement that is going to have the need for candidates with the right kind of automation, the right kind of cognitive skills. I talked about some of the relevance that is going to become the relevance of data and analytics, which is going to be really, really important. So, according to the India Skill Report of 2019, only 45.6% of the youth that's graduating from educational institutions, they are employable. I mean, what this reflects is a massive shortage of skilled workforce in the country. And I think the importance now of making sure that the youth that is being educated and how we are actually skilling people for the industry-ready talent that is needed for the new normal, right? That is going to be really, really important in terms of getting people educated in technology skills, automation skills, and others.
What are really your, let's say, the top 3 investment priorities in terms of digital transformation as we move towards greater amount of digital within our processes? What really are the things that are top of your mind in terms of digital?
So being a technology company, I think there are 2 perspectives. First is opportunity and the other one is capability. When it comes to opportunity, I think Panasonic is in a very unique position, which I'm sure many of us would agree, that to provide living spaces solutions, I mean, the residential solutions, and make them more digital. I think with Anchor Electricals on one axis and the consumer durable portfolio on the other axis, we are in an excellent position to sort of create digitalization of the living space itself to provide a comfortable, convenient, energy efficient, smarter living. So we recently introduced a platform called Mirai, which is about smart homes. And the logical first step is sort of IoTification of the entire range of products and then look at analytics to happen for consumers. That is the first part. The second part is capability building. And I think this might be a challenge for a lot of organizations. So again, our operations are very similar to a lot of panelists where we have manufacturing capabilities, then the back-end operations, and then the front-end operations, wherein the environment is very fragmented. So I think the challenge with people like us is that how do we look at unifying the entire digital footprint which exists across the organization for a variety of functions, and then let that data talk to each other. So I think that is the kind of challenge which we are now looking at addressing in the time to come.
Welcome back to the Economic Times and IBM present Reshape Tomorrow, a series of thought leadership discussions looking at the way ahead for Indian businesses. After the manufacturing sector, we hear from top leaders in the industrial product sector about how their businesses were impacted by COVID-19 and how they are realigning their future strategies.
How has the power transmission business really been? How badly is it impacted? And what are the challenges that you foresee going ahead?
I would say this is one of the kind of boring infrastructure sector, but a lot more transformation is happening. At the regulatory stage, as you saw, one of the first privatizations taking place, Chandigarh has started, Odisha has done it, which is a way to resolve this issue incrementally. So at least the first baby steps have started, which has been discussed for over a decade. And we are seeing first few signs of those policy level things actually getting implemented on ground now. Second, the several other Electricity Act amendment kind of change, which is also taking place in parallel. So I would say from government side, they are kind of trying to revive a lot at a regulatory and a sector stage. On a technology front, it is going through a complete upheaval, right? The rest of the world, you're moving from coal to renewable. Your lines change, your customer change, your load patterns change, everything is changing. Your devices that you are using are far more electrified now what was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And if you look at forecast 10, 20 years ahead, I think the predictions, whichever report you pick up, is going to be that there's going to be more than 90% equipment that we use will be electrified.
I'd like to piggyback off what Mr. Shah said. So one of the things that we are seeing in our sector actually is the use of plastic or plastic waste, I would like to say, to become fuel for energy grids and for power supply, for supplying power. And this is primarily done through a process of pyrolysis. But if I see during COVID time, the efficiency scales of the pyrolysis process has gone up significantly because, again, the power, the situation became more local. You can collect waste more locally. You can bring it to a local distribution center or energy converter, and then power it back to the grid or power it back to a small part of the ecosystem, by converting it into furnace oil or diesel or whichever anaerobic process that you choose, which does not add to carbon emissions. So I'd just like to add that point to what Mr. Shah is saying, that that's actually a big innovative streak that we are seeing, that our industry is never really linked with power supply or electrical grids. But COVID, even pre-COVID, but especially post-COVID, we will see that as a bigger part of our segment in general.
Goel, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, no, the opportunity in India, I would say, is there, but I would say in the auto sector, not many things are getting materialized because all the OEMs internationally require a large volume business. And with the type of laws, etc., for the land, etc., even though the government has been pushing for so many amendments, it is still taking time. And countries like Vietnam and Indonesia are giving us a run. And I know at least dozen of the companies which really wanted to come to India have gone there, but some are coming to India as well in the auto sector, and we have been working with many of them. So a lot of changes required, and some states in India have been doing well in attracting them, but it is still a long way to go. India has a golden opportunity to get large businesses. If they miss the boat for next 7-8 months, I think they will miss a lot of things.
Sandeep, I'll come to you. How is technology contributing to reshaping industrial businesses? Which are the areas of businesses do you see that will benefit maximum from the deployment of data and the deployment of new technology?
Across the board, companies have accelerated sort of the digital transformation and digital acceleration, I think, over the last 3 months that they would probably have done over the next few years, right? So that I think is working through this. So let me just maybe give you a couple of data points that may be interesting, right? So we recently with Oxford Economics surveyed about 600 industrial products executives in 18 countries this year about their digital strategies and enterprise initiatives. And what they told us is that digital initiatives are not only critical to their organization, but what they are expecting and what they are sort of seeing as an outlook is reducing operational costs clearly, and people were talking about to the extent of 40 to 60%, growing market share organically, which was again this was by about 60% of the companies actually were saying that they would be able to do that, and then looking at factory floor data that would be that can generate some really powerful insights, particularly as you start to think about Industry 4.0 type of operations like automation, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and so on and so forth.
Let me build on what Sandeep just said, if I may. Real estate has admittedly been a laggard on technology adoption, right? It's probably still stuck in the literally brick and mortar world. the way we like to think about technology and the role it plays, a transformative role it plays in our industry is along three layers: the offer, the engagement process, and the fulfillment process. I think the offer to the customer itself, today with the kinds of things happening in the PropTech ecosystem, we have IoT devices that can help monitor your water usage. We have ultrasonic water meters. We have surveillance and security driven by IoT. On the customer engagement side, of course, digital marketing, customer engagement digitally. We recently did a launch of a project entirely without zero touch with the customer. And on the fulfillment side, how do you monitor project sites remotely? How do you set up, again, using IoT sensors to check setting of cement and the temperature variation between, the core of the cement and the surface. Sensors to check leakage and seepage, which is a chronic problem in our sector. Things like that, which, I think if we were able to move the needle on these three dimensions, there is just tremendous potential.
I just want to give one example of what Sandeep was talking about, digitization. So we have introduced a product which is going to be looking at digital advertising in front of elevators. When you're standing in front of elevators, people are standing there for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, like hundreds and thousands, right? So we were able to come up with a product which can beam relevant, targeted advertising or whatever content you want to put out there. And now what is happening is all of a sudden, you can make your elevators as a profit center, not just a cost center. So you can monetize, you can sell the advertising, and then all of a sudden, Arvind is very interested to talk to us because he can make more money from the elevators as well. This is what I think we need to be thinking about, digitization. And I think that's an opportunity that's opening up a lot of doors.
Mr. Mishra, just to continue on this technology thing, your industry also deploys a huge amount of technology. At the same time, like you said, your performance has actually been quite good and better than in recent times. But what are you looking at for both in terms of technology? How is your company doing?
Luckily, in our company, we had embarked on a huge digital strategy before COVID itself. So all our, perhaps one of the few Indian underground mines which are fully connected. You can see the webinar from underground mine itself. And the machines are all IoT enabled and they're connected to that. And we have got central, what they call remote operating centers or collaboration centers, where all the data flow in and there are analysts who are looking at the data. And then coming out with predictive analysis, and then to reduce cost is if you can predict an either breakage in operations or something, so which can be corrected beforehand, and that can reduce. That's the base idea on which it's working. Along with that, in the COVID, we added a lot of face recognition programs because most of the workmen who are streaming in, it was physically impossible to physically check temperature or whether they're wearing masks.
So for us, what has happened is that the COVID has been, in a way, an eye-opener again, saying that why were we able to grow even in Q2 when others were not growing? Okay, or even in Q1, we did reasonably well. I think we realized that our strategy of de-risking and diversification, whether it is in segments or geographically, okay, that was one major thing which helped us to survive and to grow. I think the second piece was that, some people did talk about cash, but one of our significant focus area during Q1 and Q2 has been how to conserve cash. Third is clearly new areas have been thrown up for growth. Let's say warehousing. We all talked about data centers. So I think that's to me the third piece where new areas are coming up in which you need to be there, because I am essentially a construction company. I would love to construct a data center. I would love to construct a refrigerated, warehouse.
The other subject on Atmanirbhar, we see that as a net positive because 95% of what we sell in India, we make in India. We are globally competitive, be it on glass or gypsum or ceramics. We are globally competitive. So we really believe that it gives us a huge platform, not just to export advanced products from India, but also to be able to easily substitute many of the products that are coming in India. So therefore, from our point of view, we see Atmanirbhar as positive. Sustainability agenda is central. And more, it's also easier to communicate with our customers, whatever be it on sustainability. So this is really what I would like to conclude.
Thank you all very, very much for giving us time